Hey everybody, Tahaka here. For this video, I'm going to be going over the issues I have with Killing Floor 2's controller aiming. These issues have existed since the PC release. However, now that it's been ported to the PS4 and Xbox One, it'd be good to see fixes for these things because that's the only way the consoles have to aim, and it'd be good to get the aiming as smooth as possible. Getting to the issues, Killing Floor 2's dead zone is a 20% square, meaning you have to move your cursor 20% along the axes before you see any cursor movement happen in game. However, since it's a square, you have to move further than that for the diagonals. You can see I'm holding my stick right here, but I have to actually pass out of this square region before any acceleration can occur. Now for the size, 20% is a pretty common dead zone. It's actually standard for the most part this generation. However, it's a large dead zone, and you can see just how much thumbstick movement I can make without any acceleration occurring in game, except for the tiny bits that I go out of the square. Now, another issue that the square dead zone poses is it restricts diagonal movement. So you can see that I'm wobbling my thumbstick up and down, but I'm moving perfectly left. And here I can hold my stick at a very obvious angle. This might be 30 degrees or 35 degrees, but I'm still moving perfectly left. This happens around every axis, and this is just a side effect of square dead zones. It's really easy to see with the vertical because you can cap the view like this. It isn't until I break out of this axial dead zone where you start seeing diagonal movement occur. The final issue I have with the game is an acceleration jump, but before showing that, I'd like to say that the acceleration itself is good. So you see it starts out very slow and then ramps up very smoothly. And I'm going to stop right here. And the acceleration seems consistent on every angle, so it's not like I'm pointing this way and then as soon as I point here there's this weird jump in acceleration. It feels nice and smooth. So the general acceleration feels good. However, the issue I have is acceleration jump. So when you pass this threshold at about 97%, you see your acceleration jump. See, I'm right before the threshold and then I'm right after it. And this threshold happens all the way up through here. You can kind of see this is the end of the threshold. It makes kind of a arch right here and is perfectly straight in this axial section, and then makes a slight arch over here. But this range just in general is where it triggers. The issue with this, I mean, I understand why it's here. It's so that you can have a slower general sensitivity but still be able to turn fast. However, the problem with it is that it's jarring compared to your default sensitivity because it builds up. So with your default sensitivity right here, where there's no acceleration, it's pretty easy to predict where your crosshair is going to go through just visually guessing, and as well as muscle memory. Most importantly, you can just easily assume how far it's going to be. But since this acceleration ramps up, it's a different sensitivity than it is right here. And since it builds up over time, it's difficult to gauge how fast you're going until it caps. So it can feel a little slippery, like you don't know exactly what speed you're going, which means you can kind of overshoot targets even though your kind of muscle memory would assume you'd land straight on them. But this pretty much covers it. So I have three issues with it: the dead zone size, the square dead zone, and this acceleration jump. The fixes for this, I think there only needs to be one actual fix, and that would be changing the square dead zone into a circular one so that you can move your stick 20 100% in any direction and see movement start occurring. And circular dead zones don't normally restrict diagonal movement. So if I wobbled my stick like this, you'd see a wobble happen in game. If I held my stick right here, you'd see a very subtle angle going upward. And you would just put in the angle you want and you'd get the angle occurring through your crosshair movement. The other two things could be addressed with options. So just a dead zone slider for the first one, so you can set your dead zone size. So you could set it to 5%, 10%, 2%, or even 0%. So a slider from 0 to 20% is what I'd request. And same for this acceleration jump. It could stay where it's at as default, but we can get a slider from the default to disable whatever that is. If it's multiplier, put it from 1 to whatever this multiplier is, like 1.5 or whatever. And maybe even increase it, so you could have it from 1 to disable to something higher, so people could even get a higher acceleration if they actually wanted it. So yeah, that covers the issues and my request to fix them. A fix from a square dead zone to a circular one, and two options: a dead zone size slider and an acceleration jump slider.